Hello and welcome. This is part 2 of the cx20 to PixRacer video. It actually went really super long and I'm not sure why. So I decided just to show a couple of pictures right at the start of the video so you don't have to watch the whole thing. Basically, if you want to watch it, I just show how I did it. But these pictures should explain everything you really need except the ESC calibration. But that's the same way you would just do it like before anyways. But anyways, so this is how the Wi-Fi plugs in. This is the PixRacer SID number that when you turn on your phone or whatever, that's what you would use, connect to. This is the password, and this is the UDP port if you actually need it. These two pins here, make sure you don't plug it in. Otherwise, you'll fry this unit. Here's the power module cable. So if you have a APM power module, you have to make sure it's one for an APM for this to work properly. The two cables that come with the PixRacer, or the one cable that comes with the PixRacer for the power module, here's the clip end, and here's the end that actually plugs into the power module. So it comes reversed by stock, so what you have to do is just simply reverse it. So this red wire here would go at the end, and then this black wire would come to this end, or just follow these numbers. And if you don't do this, like I said, you will blow up the power module. Alright, so this is the GPS connection for the stock GPS and compass that comes with your cx20, which would look like this, and that is the compass. So I don't add the colors here because they're all red, and this one here, sometimes they come with different colors. But it's actually this box here you have to follow. So just make sure you follow the right color codes for here, and then this on your RC in cable or whatever, it doesn't have a wire, so you have to find it somewhere and just simply plug it in, and then you'll have 3.3 volts. Test it anyways just to confirm it. The reason why R and T here are reversed because that's the proper way of the connections. RX actually gets connected to TX, and TX gets connected to RX. So if you're wondering why it says R and T on your board there, that is why. So just follow the colors on this one as well, and all should be well. Alright guys, so I'm just going to jump into the video. Just thought I would make this first because it's actually pretty long, like I said. Alright, so this part of the video will be this Wi-Fi adapter. Okay, so on the Pix here, these two last spots here you don't use. Plug this guy in like this. So I don't suggest using this with the cx20. I mean, you could try it, but there's been a lot of reports with Wi-Fi interference with the receiver. So it's, I don't know, I think it's too much of a gamble to use it. Maybe I would make a mod and have a switch for it somewhere underneath the quad so you can turn it on and off. But I would just probably go with normal telemetry. Okay, so once that's plugged in now, you can just plug in your quadcopter. I'm just going to move this up a little bit now. And then get the phone happening here. Alright, so with it connected now, go into your phone and go into Google Play and look for Droid Planner or Tower. It's Droid Planner is the company or whatever, or the guy that made it. And then either download the beta or the one at the top there, 4.3 or 4.4. And then you can scroll down and also do a search, or it might be listed, and download qgroundcontrol. But that one's optional. You don't have to really get that if you don't want it. Alright, next, after you've downloaded that and installed it, go into settings. So now you should have one listed called PixRacer. So click on that guy. Just going to forget it so I can show you. Click on PixRacer, and the password is lowercase PixRacer. And push connect. Alright, so once that's connected, now you can back out of this and click on your program Tower. This one doesn't go sideways, I guess. Oh yeah, it does. Okay. All right, so just down here, make sure it's on UDP. You can click on that once and then pick it. And also the default port, which already should be set, is 14550. Okay, and then now you can push connect. Once it's connected, you can move your quad around and you should see things moving there. And this one's kind of limited. You can do follow me mode and stuff like that as well, I believe. For some reason it's not listed here. Not sure why. Could be because the GPS and stuff's not installed. And then here you can just change your parameters and whatever else you need to do. Alright, so now I'll show you qgroundcontrol. Alright, so click on the qgroundcontrol. This program talks a lot, so it can be very annoying at times. And sometimes it just doesn't work as well.
Stabilize flight mode.
Right, so once it's connected and that green bar is done moving, you can move your quad, see if it works and stuff like that. You click on this icon here, and this guy is really more powerful than Tower. Sometimes you won't get the airframe correctly, but that could be because the parameters weren't loaded, and it seems to disconnect a lot as well, but that could be just me moving it around. So if you click on flight modes, I like this one. I haven't tested it. I mean radio. You can actually change your transmitter from mode 1 to mode 2 just on the fly. So that's actually really cool. There's lots of settings in here. This program is more polished. There's way more options in this one than there is Tower. Seems like this is the full program that you would have on your Windows system. The Wi-Fi bridge I wish worked, because then you can change the access point to station mode and then set your Wi-Fi thing and then have an IP address. It's just a more simpler way, I think, to connecting to it, at least at home. Besides that, everything's here. Like, you can change your parameters, your flight modes. This one, I'm not sure if it understands the cx20 flight mode with Orient, so I'd be a little bit careful with that. Because I know when I was writing code for that display I made, that was one of the problems I had run into, is just that one mode with simple mode. I didn't like it. Yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to show you how this one works. I'm not going to be using this. I'll just be using my Windows system, and I'm not going to be using this Wi-Fi adapter anyways. Just wanted to show you guys how it worked. So I'll just show a quick video how to set it up with MissionPlanner, say, on your Windows system if you do have a Wi-Fi adapter. And yeah, alright. Alright, so on Windows it's basically the same thing. If you have Wi-Fi on your computer, you should find a PixRacer. So you want to connect to that. And again, it's lowercase and it's just PixRacer. Okay, so I'm connected to it. Now you can open up MissionPlanner. Alright, so because you're using the Wi-Fi, it should automatically put the settings in here for you. So if it does say that, it's all good. If not, just click on this down arrow. Well, you can't even click on that. And it's already connected. You can see here. So just to put it in manually, just go to UDP. And I believe, and then you can punch in 14550, connect. Alright, so now you can do all your changes in MissionPlanner through the Wi-Fi like that. Alright, so once you open up qgroundcontrol as well, just to show it automatically connects as well. And that's all I really want to show you of this, because like I said before, I'm sticking with MissionPlanner for now until I learn more about this program. Which again, this program looks really cool, so I am going to learn it eventually. I just keep on dragging my feet on it. Alright, now on to the next step. Alright, I'm going to jump onto the power module now, and this can be a little bit confusing, and you can fry your PixRacer basically instantly if you get this wrong. So it's good if you have a voltage meter, so you can test the voltages just to make sure you're doing it right. Most likely in my description I'll have a link to the APM one, and this is the one that would be backwards. You would have to switch the wires around. This is the cable for the PixRacer, and then this one, this power module was for, I believe this one was for the APM Pro, and this one's actually right. So if you unplug this, and the hint on this one is the red and the two blacks on the bottom. So if you unplug this guy and unplug this end in, the two, if I can get in there, the two red wires would be on the top. So this one's already right. So you don't have to do any mods to this. But this one might be hard to get without getting the APM Pro. I believe I got this one with the kit. Okay, so you have two options. One, you can take a pin and just move each wire to the other side. Or if you don't want to get it wrong at all, almost all of these boards come with the pads here. If you look on the other side, it's usually labeled. So you can actually just solder the four wires that you need: the positive, the voltage, the current, and the ground. And that would probably be the easiest thing to do, and you can't really screw that up. So the first thing you'll want to do is just plug this guy in. This cable here, and then just test the voltage. See if the red's actually positive and the ground's actually ground. So if you get a negative, that means it's reversed, and that's when you would fry it. So see how I'm getting negative 5.33? If I would have happened to plug that into the PixOx without questioning it, I would have fried it. But it's not that hard of a fix. Alright, so I'm just going to unplug this, grab a pin. Or maybe I'll draw out the pinouts for you as well right now, just so you guys can have a reference maybe. So this end here, this is the end that plugs into the PixRacer. I can always just show a picture too, but if I can find a pen, I can just draw it out really quickly. Alright, so first I'll do the APM one. So this is the original APM cable. Just orient your cable this way. Six, okay. So the way this guy goes here, and this is for the APM style. And this is 5 volts, 5 volts. Usually always on almost all the power modules, after 5 volts, it's always the current sense. So current, and then voltage, and then this is ground and ground. So again, like I said, it's usually always these two are beside each other. I'm not going to write the color codes down because they're all black on this cable. On this cable that plugs into the APM or into the PixRacer, I'll do both of the ends on this one at least. So 5 volts, 5 volts, current, battery, voltage, and ground, ground, and ground. So this is the part that plugs into the APM, not the part that actually plugs into this part here on this guy. So now I'll do the PixRacer other end. And where's that cable? Oh, I just lost it somewhere. Right, this cable here. So this one's ground, ground, and then it's voltage, current, 5 volts, 5 volts. So you can already compare the two from the APM to this end, and you can tell it's reversed. So now you just have to simply reverse it. Hopefully that made sense. And then, so I'm just going to get on to doing the pin conversion. And again, if you can solder, I would really suggest maybe just doing it here. If I can open this guy up to show you. All right. I'll try to hold this steady so you can see it. There's goes ground, the voltage, the current is I, and then 5 volts. So on this cable here, this would equal I, this is V, and then this one is your 5 volts. So that just goes to the thing that says 5V, 5V, and then ground. Either, so you can just pick one of the grounds or one of the 5 volts. So basically, you don't need this one, you don't need this one. So these are the 4 you would want to connect onto here. For me, like I said, I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to swap the pins because I need that for something else. Okay, anyways, that was a pain in the butt. I just flipped all those cables around to the other side. So again, just take your time and yeah, use a voltage meter or two just to make sure you did it right and to make sure you actually had to do it. And if it's just too confusing, like I said, just use these 4 pads here because it's only 4 wires you actually have to solder if you can solder. And yeah, so just I'm going to plug this guy into here now. And then retest this end to see if I got the voltages right now. The red should be positive and the ground should be black. I think I might have lost my video of me actually doing the pin swaps. I'm not sure until I rewatch the video now because I paused it because the phone rang or buzzed. Alright, so I'm going to put one on the red one here, one on the black. Okay, there you go. So now I got the cable. So now this guy is meant for the PixRacer now. If you get confused, just hit me up on the comments on YouTube and I'll help you out. Alright, so plug in a USB to your quadcopter and then plug in the battery and then connect. go into, I'm already there, but go into initial setup and then battery monitor. Just want to make sure that's not set. Set the first one to voltage and current. The sensor is a 3DR power module. And then the 4 is the PixHawks. Then go to flight data and just confirm it actually says what your voltage of your battery is. Right, the cx20 original GPS and compass. I was going to make this a separate video, but I guess I'm just going to throw this on the end as well. The problem with my cables is I do so much modding that my original compass has already been modded, and same with my GPS. But you're just going to have to ignore the ends here because we're not going to be using those ends anyways. What we're after are these two ends here. So here's the PixRacer cable for the GPS. We already did the pinouts earlier for the Neo plug, but I'll just redraw it out anyways. Okay, so it's orange. We're really after these colors anyways for this cable. The other GPS doesn't really matter. And then the pinouts for it is SCL, SDA, 5 volts, TX, RX, and ground. Okay. So here's the GPS out of the cx20. What you can do is remove this guy here, and then you can actually see what the things are here. It's listed B, R, T, V, and P for just making sure it's in there right. Okay. So cx20, 20 GPS. Okay, so the first two on this guy is blank and blank. And the way it goes here is volts, so 5 volts, RX, TX, and ground, or GND. Just to stay with the other one. And then again, it doesn't really matter about the color codes because we're not after the color codes on this one. So that's GPS. And then the compass. Definitely not after the colors on this guy because they're all red. The way it goes here is 3 volts, SCL, SDA, and ground. If you plug 5 volts into this guy, you're going to fry it. Because everything is 5 volts, we're going to have to tap into a 3 volt, but we have one extra spare in the RC in cable. So RC in, and all we're after is the 3 volt pin. So we're going to have to add one to that guy. And the way the pins go for that, it's a clip end. So the color codes on that cable is red, white, and black. So this is your 5 volts, This would be your RC in, and then this is your ground. So what we want here is this pin here, and this is 3.3 volts. This is the guy we want. So you have a bunch of extra cables. So I'm not sure if I lost some wires because I had this in my junk drawer for so long, but the only two wires I'm left with now are these guys here, and there's no ends to them. But I'm just going to end up using one of these guys. So as long as it has the clip end, that's fine. So what I'll do here is take out just one of these wires out of my spares, and I'm going to take out the orange wire. So this orange wire here is now going to become my 3 volts, and I'm going to have to twist this guy on after. So I'm just going to take that out now. So we'll put down orange, I guess. Orange. Okay. So I'm going to do this guy right now just to get it out of the way to show you. So it's already connected here. And then this guy here was for the receiver. This little box here. Hopefully I'm in view. And that cable was originally plugged into this RC in location. So now I'm just going to add this orange wire beside the black one. And that'll become my 3 volts. And we still need a ground after. Okay, so now that orange wire is going to be for 3 volts for the compass. I can move this out of the way. At the end of it, we're still going to be short a ground for the I2C, so we're going to have to figure out a place to get that as well. I think I'm just going to grab the ground off the motor outputs, and I'm going to end up using one of these style cables here. What you can do is in the CAN port, this guy right here, you can actually plug in one of your extra cables you have. Where is it? Here. One of these cables here, and just remove all the wires except the black wire, and just make sure it corresponds with the ground, and then just use that. But I'm just going to end up using one of these ends and plug it right into the motor outputs. Alright, so now to convert the ends over, you're going to have to cut your wires. Now, the one I just grabbed the orange wire out of, if you have the same cable, that's pretty handy because it's actually the same as the GPS cable. And the orange wire was actually, that we just removed for the 3 volts, is actually for SCL. So if you just can confirm that the colors are the same, everything should be okay. And the ends on this guy are already cut off and tinned. So just, you're going to have to use this guy here, or you're going to have to cut this cable. So either one, if you don't have this one, cut the cable on this one. But if you have the one with already cut ends, you may as well just use this one instead of wrecking this guy here. And the reason why we have to cut it is because this guy here, this end here won't fit in here. At least when I try, it won't. Yeah, because it's just a different end. Their holes are closer together. Alright, so now your options are to either cut this end and just do a twist with the wires for the right colors on here, or just do a direct solder in these guys here. I think what I'm going to do is a solder so I don't have to wreck these wires. Which way should I go? Alright, so what I'm going to do, I guess, is I'm just going to cut this end. What you guys can do if you can solder as well, because I'm going to be soldering this anyway, so technically I should just solder these wires directly onto the pads, but I'll just do, I'll make a new end for this guy here. And this is what I always talk about in all my videos, about me having to cut my wires all the time, because now if I have to make another video about the GPS, I have to show it with the wires all cut up. So I'm just going to cut the wires here. So if you have different colors here, you can add the color scheme to the GPS so you don't get confused, or I'm just have to do it in order like that. So the first one here is 5 volts because there's a blank. So I'm just going to skin these wires back. And that's that special kind of wire. Burns the fingers when you try to strip it. Okay. And alright, so I got my wires stripped for that one. Now you may as well remove the ones you don't. Actually, we can't remove them. We're just going to have to do one at a time. So this is where it's handy too, you're writing down the color codes because we're going to be holding this cable the wrong way. But as long as you have the color codes, everything should be fine. Okay. So the first one is our blue wire. And our blue wire for our GPS is, like I said, 5 volts. On this guy, it's red. So find your red wire. Whoops. Find the red wire in this cable here. And you'll want to twist it with the blue one. I'm just going to get my solder thing ready and some heat shrink. Okay. You probably want to cut these wires down to size as well because the GPS is going to be mounted inside the cx20 now. Okay. Okay, so the next wire here in the GPS end is RX, and our RX on the PixRacer is green. I forgot the heat shrink. I really hate when I do that. You can just twist them if you want and electrical tape them up as well if you can't solder. I guess that's why I'm showing it this way. Because really the best way to do this is just to directly solder it because there's only 4 of them. So it's kind of being silly doing it this way. But at least this cable here for my PixRacer will always have a cable for the cx20 GPS. I actually needed to use it for some weird reason. Okay. Alright, so holding the cable this way, the next one is TX. Might be this guy here. And then TX on the PixRacer cable is yellow. I'm just gonna do the same thing on this guy. And then the last one here is our ground. And our ground on our PixRacer is black. That's one at the end here. This one too, you might want to pigtail your ground for your compass. That's up to you. Alright, so now we're left. Oh yeah, because I took the cable out of that one. Whoops. Alright, so now I'm going to have to put that orange cable back into this guy here. I forgot because I'm using the other cable now. Alright, so I got that cable back in again. So we're left with two wires on this end now, and that's that orange one I just put back and the blue one. And the orange and blue is SEL and SDA, and that's for the compass. So as is, this cable now should be able to plug into this guy here. Like it did before. Now we just have to figure out the I2C connector. Alright, so my I2C cable was already modded for something else, and I already added ends to this. So that's the one I'm gonna keep one on just for the ground. And then also on the back, it should say the scheme, the way it goes. So my top one here is my black one, and that's the one I'm just gonna plug into the motor outputs. So on the top wire here, just twist on a black one. And then we already wrote down the thing, so we got rid of the ground. The next one is SDA, and I believe that's one of them in twists. If you get confused, maybe it'd be better just to do that with them. And I'm also going to cut off my wire end here. So now my cable looks like that. Or you can just follow it, but it might be better just to peel them back so you don't get confused with them. It's only SEL and SDA, I believe, so it doesn't really matter if you get those two backwards, it just won't work. Okay, so now I got them all separated. So we'll do the next one is SDA, and that's this guy here. I'm gonna, hopefully it's not the same kind of, no it's not. And then on our cable here, our SDA is blue. So that's this guy here. Again, you can just do direct solders onto the I2C module, but for this one you need longer cable because it has to make it all the way to the back of the puck. Don't forget my heat shrink. Figures my battery on my phone's dying. I'm gonna make this quick now. The next one is SEL, and we look on here, SEL is orange. It's good. So we got them all. Just make sure you have options with this black end here. Like I said before, you can just use it off the can, Just find ground wherever you can for this module. And now we're left with the 3-volt line, and that's this guy at the bottom here. And we're still going to grab the 3 volts off the RC in port. So I still have some extra wires here, so I'm just going to have to pick a new color, I guess. So I'll have to still find 3 volts off the RC in. So I'm just going to grab a different color off this one last extra cable I have, and I guess it's just going to be another red. Okay, there's the red guy here. Alright, so this wire now plugs into the RC in port. I'll show that again where it goes. So I'm just going to plug this adapter part now because it's made just for that. Okay, because we changed it as well. Where did we change it here? Oh yeah, the RC in here. It used to be the orange one where I did at the start of the video. So I'm just going to change the color now to red because we made it a red one instead. And then here's that cable again. The one I just removed the orange wire out of, the RC in. If I can find that damn compass now, that'd be awesome. Okay, so here's that cable we just made. And then coming off the compass one, if I can find it. What a mess. This red guy here now plugs beside the black one for our 3.3 volts. Good. And then this guy gets plugged back into the RCN. Okay. So ground, because I have an end like this, we know all the bottom pins on this guy are ground, so I'm just going to plug my ground into the bottom here for the I2C. Okay, this is quite the mess of a cable here. Okay, so this end here now gets plugged back into the quad for the GPS, and that's at the bottom right underneath the RC in, where it was before. So the GPS plug can be plugged in here. And then you're going to want to mount this guy in the quadcopter somewhere. And then the compass. Should have been probably left in the puck anyways, because all you had to do is remove this cable. And there's the compass. And the compass gets reinstalled back into the puck again. Make sure it's not installed in the cx20. So I'll just plug it in to see if everything works. Feel the compass, make sure it's not getting really hot. Alright, so if you continue getting no GPS, you might just have to swap the 2 pins around. So I'll try that really quick. Alright, back in the mess again. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to swap the 2 middle ones, I believe it was, on this cable here. Sometimes they mark TX is supposed to be hooked up to RX and RX is supposed to be hooked up to TX. It makes sense that they say it that way, but it gets really confusing because not everybody follows that scheme. So if you have an issue with no GPS at all, it can be that, but the PixRacer is also really picky on the GPS. So sometimes it just takes a while for it actually to detect the hardware. So hopefully I'm not wasting my time here. Okay, so I'll try plugging that back in. Could be it just had bad connection too. All right, plug this guy in. All right, I think I did have the cable on backwards because now you can see, I'll stop talking. You can see the blue light's very active now, where last time it wasn't. So that might be the biggest hint there. So I'll reconnect the MissionPlanner. All right, so I definitely had the cable, the TX, and the RX backwards. So maybe I'll just make an edit in the video and just say the proper way of putting it. But besides that, I'll just leave it intact. You can try both ways. All right, guys, hopefully that helped you out. All right, I'm just going to do this ESC calibration really quickly. So you can do it through the software if you want to, or you can just do it the old way. The shell can still be on it when you're doing this. So the steps here is just simply plug in the USB into your cx20. Doesn't have to be connected to your computer. Right, so turn on your remote once it's done beeping. And once you hear that, you can probably just arm it. Go full throttle. So then plug in the battery. I'm just bypassing the power module. Those two beeps, you can push it down. So once it's all quiet again, then you can put up the throttle to see if it works. Right, so you probably heard a lot of different kind of noise on it, and it doesn't sound all quiet like it usually does. That's because on one of my ESCs, I have a BL Heli, so it's going to make a different sound because it actually gets calibrated differently. I really doubt you're going to have my custom firmware on one of your ESCs, but if you do, this is how you do an ESC calibration with it. You can also just do it through BL Heli or through MissionPlanner too, I think. So this time instead, when you arm it or whatever, you don't want to go full throttle. So arm it. This time plug in a battery and you have to push up right away. Then back down again. And it's going to continue making that sound. And after that's all done, it's all quiet, then you can turn it back up. Alright, so again, you can just do it through MissionPlanner or you can do it the old way. If you need any help with it, just let me know in the comments. And that's it. So sorry for this video going extremely long. I don't really know why it went so long. But anyways, like and subscribe, and that's it.